Hello, my 605 Speaks peeps. Welcome on this cold and wintry South Dakota day. You're probably wondering what that little intro video was. That was my experience yesterday, having an Accelerated Resolution Therapy visit with a therapist here in Sioux Falls, Sarah, with Guiding Light Counseling. And I recently learned about this and I wanted to ask her more about it. And that's what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk mostly about the ART, Accelerated Resolution Therapy, and a little less about what area of South Dakota she's from, because we both reside East River in the Sioux Falls area. And I've covered the Sioux Falls area before, but I do want to quickly talk about why I think talking about mental health care and wellness and therapy and things like that are extra important this time of year in South Dakota. And that's because it's cold and dark on the prairie. We have a lot less sunlight. We have a lot less time outside. Going outside, our time outside, the work is more difficult. Wintertime can be a really aggressive, emotional time for people in the farming industry. It's definitely a time where we worry more about our kids. We worry more about driving safety. Inclement weather is a daily part of our life here in South Dakota and in the Midwest this time of year. And then you add on the layer, for those that might be watching this in the future, this is January 18th, 2026. I live within a few hours driving distance of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're in a rough state of the world in the United States right now. And if you look into what's happening in that area, and for those of us that are natural helpers, we feel very stymied by things like not being able to improve or change the scenario for our communities and neighbors, especially when we're so close, but we're so far away. Just yesterday, across most of our state, our roads were closed due to high winds. We had several semi-accidents, things like that. The wind was literally blowing vehicles over. So sometimes we're trapped in our own bubble, and that can really weigh down on us. So mental health, mental wellness is important all the time, but I feel like I myself, as a South Dakotan, feel it hitting me a little harder right now in this time of year. And so I feel like this is a great time to bring Sarah on and talk more about what she does for people and how Accelerated Resolution Therapy might be something that can help you. So welcome to our screen. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
I feel like I just saw you a minute ago because I just saw you yesterday.
Yes.
I do want to warn our viewers, Sarah has a very soothing and calming voice and countenance. Please do not fall asleep listening to it. Yesterday during our session, I had to tell her I got so relaxed and I was so like, you have a really great chair. I talked about it with Graham when we left. I'm like, I really want to steal that chair. So
thank you.
So everybody grab your caffeine because we're going to soothe you into you're going to be melted butter by the end of this. Sarah, we talked a little bit before I brought you on that you are a Midwesterner lifelong. You've lived in South Dakota for over 20 years.
Yes.
But originally from North Dakota.
Yep.
So that dark and cold aspect of living on the prairie, you know what I'm talking about when I bring that up.
Yes, very much so.
Do you have people that reach out to you specifically more often this time of year because we're all going through that together? And also post-holiday, I feel like a lot of people recognize their need for mental health care during the holidays.
Yeah, it's probably a mixture of both. The holidays, spending more time with family, getting triggered by family, and then being more like shut in because of the cold and the darkness. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely take my vitamin D this time of year. I call that my sunshine medicine. I take it every morning as soon as I get up so I can kind of combat the lack of sun that we have.
Good.
Tell us a little bit about your credentials. Tell us about your credentials and how you, I'm always impressed with women in business. Your own business, you are an independent professional. Tell us about your educational background and how you came to be where you are.
Okay, so my master's is in social work. I got licensed in social work right after I graduated. Now I am a licensed clinical social worker, which means that I can go be in private practice.
Awesome. And you
Mhm.
practice in 3 states,
Yes,
and
North
South
Dakota,
Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota.
correct?
Are there different things you have to do for each state to be licensed in those states, or is it kind of is the licensing similar since we're similar areas?
No, each state has their different requirements because why would they make it easy? So,
Right.
yeah, Minnesota's a little bit more challenging. There's a lot more background and more steps you need to take. With North Dakota, you just have to send them your license in your home state, and then you're good.
And so you provide telehealth, which is another important thing in the Midwest, making healthcare of all kinds accessible across our wide open spaces, or during times like now where I wouldn't even drive 30 minutes outside of Sioux Falls today in this wind. Definitely not in the last 2 days. I can see where a lot of people would put off or consider this a less than necessary type appointment to keep if the risk was going out in this weather.
Correct. Yeah.
And how difficult is it for you to set people up with a telehealth mental health visit?
Oh, not hard at all. Like because the EHR system that I use, Simple Practice, has it all set up in it.
And
So it
so
just sends the client a link and they just click it.
oh, exactly like what we're doing now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just sent you a link and you click it and here we are talking.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
which is why I love using this streaming platform because there's no downloading, there's no figuring stuff out. You just click and it's like we're in the room together. So,
Right.
well, let's talk about real quick, give an overview of all the different kinds of services or visits people can have with you. And then we're going to drill in and focus on the one I was curious about.
Okay. Uh, I would say for the most part, I like to give a lot of education to my clients just to help them understand what's happening for them and just validating that. Like, it totally makes sense that you get anxious when this happens. Because I think more than ever, people often feel like they are the abnormal ones and like this, everybody else is like living this great life. And I'm like, no, not really.
Right.
And I just did that validation. Like, even though you feel like you're broken, you're not broken. You're just human, and being human is messy. And yeah,
Yes.
you're not the problem. So I like to give a lot of validation and education to my clients.
Do you feel like more people reach out because they're struggling with anxiety or depression? And if somebody said to you, I don't know if I have anxiety or depression, what's the difference? How do you answer a question like that?
So I would say probably a lot more anxiety, especially since COVID. I think that sparked a lot of anxiety in people for many different reasons. And so I actually see a lot more OCD behaviors ever since COVID, of like with germs and with just wanting to be clean and all of that. And so, yeah, with anxiety, like how I explain it to my clients is that like your body and your nervous system has detected a threat. And even though we might just be at school, which is something that we do every day, like something happened in that environment that now your body and your nervous system feel like is a threat. And so that shoots up to your brain, and then your brain's like, oh my God, there's a threat. What is a threat? And then that's when we get those like spiraling thoughts, and we're like, just it keeps going and going and going, and then we dig ourselves into a tunnel, like the world
Yes.
is ending. So that's kind of anxiety. With depression, it tends to just really make you want to go inward and kind of just shuts you down. And I explain to people like that is just your body's way of saying like I need to rest. Like I've done too much, and I just want to just rest.
I feel like I have experienced both anxiety and depression. And related both, I think, organically just to my metabolic chemical makeup. But I deal with chronic pain. I'm pretty open when I talk with people about having fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and then dealing with my back surgery last year and chronic pain. And I think I've often associated anxiety with the fight or flight feeling. And I've associated my depression with almost like a freeze feeling, like
Yes.
I am frozen inward. I wouldn't be able to fight or flight
Right.
when I'm deep in a depressive state. I'm,
Right.
you know,
But like,
and I'm also
again,
not
like,
moldable.
what?
I'm not like, I can't even be shaped into something when I'm going into a more depressive phase. With anxiety, I almost feel like things are splattering all over and going every direction, and I'm stuck in the middle of it. But when I feel I'm in a depressive state, I almost feel like I can't even be shaped into anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's my experience, and I'm sure it's different for everybody. I
Yeah.
don't think until well into my adulthood I knew how to explain it. So
Yeah. And so again, like I see a lot of college kids or teenagers that are like experiencing things and they don't know how to explain it. And like sometimes they might get pressure from their peers or their parents or teachers, like you need to fix yourself. And again, I acknowledge that like nobody wants to
right,
feel fixed. Like we don't want to feel like we are a problem. You don't need to be fixed.
right. I think I've talked in the past when I had a different podcast specifically talking about chronic pain and dealing with that. And I talk with and work with a lot of people with chronic pain and fibromyalgia. And I have talked about my results with CBT, not CBD, not marijuana. I always have to enunciate cognitive behavioral therapy with a T. And I know a lot of people in the realm with pain, they almost get angry and they want to shy away from being told to talk about it or to do an action. It can be very difficult. You feel like someone's saying, well, your pain is all in your head. But for me, I've been able to see it as what's going on in my head is part of how I deal with my pain and how I can adapt my life to deal with my pain, especially when it's maybe between medication doses, or also acknowledging the validity of how I feel about my pain and how maybe I'm not always myself up front with my feelings about what is happening in my body. And that was one of the questions yesterday. The things you started with, which I found very interesting, was evaluating the condition of my body and my pain level before we started talking. So let's talk a little bit about this specific niche part of your practice, Accelerated Resolution Therapy, also called ART, not to be confused with art therapy like painting and drawing and working your way through things with creativity, which also I think is a beautiful way to do things. But what is Accelerated Resolution Therapy?
Yeah. So I often ask people if they heard of EMDR, because a lot of people have with the light bar, or else they use the tappers. And again, so with EMDR, you're working with bilateral because like that helps calm down the nervous system. And so EMDR, I tell, is like ART is like EMDR on crack. So it's just an easier and faster way to process our memories. So the person who developed it in 2008, Lainey Rosenzweig, she was actually trained in EMDR. And then she learned that there's an easier way to help people process things.
And I'm gonna pause you just for a second, and I'm gonna read right off my screen so I don't say it wrong. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yes.
So it involves the eye movement and desensitizing to kind of what you're thinking about, because the eye movement helps with that.
Yes.
And reprocessing.
Yes.
But this goes a step further.
Yes, very much so. So a lot of people will come to me and they have tried EMDR or are trying EMDR. And a lot of times they have to do it multiple sessions. With ART, I can clear a lot of stuff just in one session.
And I'm just going to share my screen again real quick. Anybody, as you were watching this video, the intro to the video, you were probably thinking, what am I seeing here? And this is just a 9-second stint of the physical part of what we were doing. I'm going to just hit it again. So Sarah's here. I'm obviously in her super comfortable chair that she's going to need to bolt down because I just relaxed right into that. We talked about a little bit yesterday, and the reason I wanted to do a session in general and had reached out to you and asked questions, this was several months ago. I hate to say the word Epstein list, but I'm saying Epstein list. We had talked a little bit back and forth on Facebook about how having things like that related to assault in the media, in the focus all the time, for some people that may have not been able to openly talk about or had thought they had dealt with their own issues with previous assaults, it's putting it in everyone's face all day long. And some people that thought maybe they had adjusted to what they personally went through are opening up just a media vomit of being hammered away with the world demanding more access to victim statements and things like that, and how that could be. I often think the word triggered and triggering is overused, but it does describe this, how just opening your phone or turning on the news,
Absolutely,
those words, and the way victims are now being treated on a worldwide public stage. Many people have gone through that and worse, and being open to that. And so I asked if your therapy, the art therapy, is it something that someone with such an aggressive trauma could utilize? And then you sent me more information, and I saw that they're using this for soldiers with PTSD. We talked excessively about how first responders, paramedics, nurses, fire and police, when they're the first person that comes across an accident or they're losing a life on a table and things like that, that is a trauma.
Right.
They experience over and over again. And so you recommended I do a session to understand it.
Yes.
It was, I would say, my first question, now that I've done it, that I didn't realize that I think would open more people to the idea of it is, again, the first thing you did was ask me to evaluate my body and my sensations, how I feel. Am I in pain? Do I feel any pressure? What do I feel?
Yes.
And then having you explain to me that I don't even have to tell you what my trauma is.
No.
Because I know a lot of people are afraid of speaking it out loud. They want help, but they don't, for whatever reason, want to say out loud what they're dealing with or what they happen to. I didn't have to tell you if I didn't want to.
No.
And is that true for everyone?
Absolutely. Yep. Because again, I'll just ask you what you want to work on. You can tell me if you want to. If not, that's totally fine. And I'm always going to ask you hey, is there anything you want to share? And if you don't, that's okay. But when you're processing the memory in your mind, all I'm going to ask you were you in the beginning, middle, or end? And that's all you have to tell me. You don't have to tell me what happened, what you saw, or anything like that.
And the hand movement, that was my focal point. I didn't focus on you.
Yes.
I focused on your hand, which I think for a lot of people, direct eye contact or feeling that they're on the spot. I never felt like I was on the spot. I never felt like we were physically too close to each other. We weren't in a very large room, but that is a question I asked. What if somebody said, I'm still social distancing, or because of my anxiety, I need more distance? We wouldn't have even had to have been as close to each other as we were.
Yeah, I can move farther away, closer. I can go faster or slower with my hand. It doesn't really matter. So it's all about what you're comfortable with.
And you do offer this same type of practice through telehealth. I could have even done it through just like we're doing now.
Yes. Yep. So there's a website that I use. So then again, they just join the session, and then we have 2 tabs open, one with the telehealth and one with the eye movement, the light bar moving across the screen.
So that they have a focal point.
Yeah.
And I have done hypnosis both for weight loss and chronic pain in the past. And I have been shown and trained in a lot of practices for self-hypnosis, and along with cognitive behavioral therapy to help with relaxation and things like that. I would say my first experience, and I had to tell you yesterday, I am getting so relaxed. that I think you could tell me to cluck like a chicken and I would. However, I think that people that are afraid of hypnosis because they're afraid of losing control.
Yes.
In that aspect, this was not like that. I was fully conscious, fully aware the whole time.
Yep.
I never felt separated or disassociated from my body. And I never felt like, you were in control of this and you were in control of the guided imagery and the guided questions, but I never felt like you were in control of what was in my mind or how I felt about it.
Nope.
And just for transparency for everybody, because I don't mind sharing, this was something new to me. And I went in there thinking, oh, I should come with a topic. And so we specifically kind of focused on my issues with binge eating and nail biting, because those both fall kind of under the category of an OCD type experience. So I did go in with an idea of focusing on why do I binge eat? Why do I bite my nails? And that was the first part. We kind of talked about that. But then the next part that was interesting is how you guide someone into overriding the triggering factor.
Yeah.
How do you train to help someone with that? How do you train to help somebody that you don't even know with how to overwrite their trauma without dismissing their trauma? You never dismissed anything.
Nope.
Replacement.
Yeah. So again, that's why I love ART, is because your brain knows what to do and it's going to help you out so much with this process. So like I can do a typical day script with somebody, and the first time that I did a typical day, when I was doing the training, I had no idea how I was going to change my day. I had no idea how I was going to be less stressed living in America. And my brain just took me to like these cobblestone roads, and I was walking with my family towards water, and it was like the best thing ever. But yeah, most of the time it's just like, I just give a little like leading statement like, yep, we're going to go back and meet that unmet need. And a lot of times, again, your brain will know what to do.
And it is funny when you talk about that you use the word leading statement, which I think could also, where somebody's like, oh, so you're going to tell me what to do. But it isn't like that, because I had sort of a physiological response while we were doing this, and I was getting warmer. And so you said, well, let's take a minute. And the next guidance is, how do we take you to cool off? Let's go through bring up some visuals of things that help you cool down. And I am not sure why, because normally this would not necessarily be a cool down, but I had a strong visual of the Old Spice commercial, the Old Spice guy in a towel in the shower room, and it was kind of steamy. But when you were like, whether or not that could be something like a cool waterfall or a gentle breeze, and I'm like, Old Spice. So you're not, you're absolutely right that your brain, you're not taking control of my brain. You're just facilitating it.
Yep. So maybe more of a prompt, like it's more of a prompting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I am an overly creative and stimulated person. So I went way, way out there with the prompt. Mm-hmm. And the next part, this is where I think if we had been dealing with something that I was more emotional about, or you had advised me on this as well, that your brain might show up and say, great, Jenny, you came to talk about nail biting today, but hey, we're going to deal with this. This is what's going to come up. And again, you promised me I didn't have to speak out or say anything. It's my personal stuff. But then came the next part of giving the guidance of what to do with those feelings or images. Do you think that's an easier part or a stumbling block for people?
I've seen come up with a little bit of mixture. Yeah. So quite a few people go back and like maybe change some things from their childhood, which then brings up grief, that like the fact that didn't happen. I didn't get that need met. Right. Like that person was not there for me. And so again, like just notice that you're experiencing some sadness. That sadness is totally valid, and follow my hand, and we process it out.
Do you find, have you had people post-pandemic that maybe they lost someone during particularly 2020, 2021, where I lost my mom during 2020, and her funeral was definitely not the funeral she probably would have ever imagined for herself, because it was during quarantine. We had to have it outside. We didn't have a normal eulogy. It was not a traditional American idea of neither a funeral or a celebration of life or anything like that. We gathered at a gravesite and put her in the ground.
Yeah.
And there were many people that, because of COVID, especially if they actively had COVID when someone else passed, they couldn't attend at all. Do you feel that there are people now realizing their grief was stifled during that loss?
Absolutely. Or like they couldn't go visit the person who was sick in the hospital because you could only have like one visitor or no visitors, or like even helping that person if they were in the hospital and like got better, like even processing that out, that like, yeah, I was alone in that moment.
Do you think people are starting to realize that they need to have their grieving moment, and this could be a way to do it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We also talked about my experience of being a very young child when I lost my dad, and people don't help little kids cry it out. They want to try and make it feel safe by denying that something horrible has happened.
Yep.
And I think even though we've changed our views about mental health and grief, we still think kids are resilient. Let them get on with it. But I mean, I have a very vivid memory of my dad's funeral that I've never really been able to feel one way or the other about, even though I was a very little kid. I have this very vivid and real memory that in adulthood, someone else described that moment when they were talking about his funeral. And I'm like, oh, that's real then. That wasn't just my brain making that for me. That happened because they were there and they're talking about their visual of it. My visual was happening at knee high. Theirs was seeing the whole room.
Yeah.
Do you have people that want to come and expand their understandings of how they feel about those kind of like broken images?
Absolutely. A lot of people are like, I need to know like why this happened, like why this person might have let that happen. And again, I explained to my clients, like, so the reason why like we still get triggered or have flashbacks is because when we are in distress, our brain locks that image in and it becomes like a picture on the wall of our brain. And so it's still there and doesn't get processed out. And so ART helps process it out so it no longer is causing weight on your brain, your nervous system, your body. And so a lot of times when we are processing out the memory, when people see the memory, the images the second time, they'll see more details. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that person was there. Oh, and then their brain even shows them like, yeah, this is why it happened.
Right.
And so it just gives them a lot more reassurance and just like, yeah.
Because they always knew that just the part that they were getting, that still shot, like you said, that still photograph of a memory on the wall wasn't the whole day or the whole moment. Their brain always saw the whole thing.
Yes.
They're just reviewing the file photo.
Right. Because your brain's like, I need to hold on to this image in case that ever happens again so I can save this person should it happen again.
Right.
Right.
And I felt like by the end of our session, which was 1 hour, and is that the traditional pacing for it, is 1 hour?
Typically, but the first session I ask for 90 minutes just because I want to make sure that you leave my office feeling good.
Right.
I don't charge for the extra 30 minutes. It's more for me. Like I just want you leaving feeling good.
Right.
And I don't like feeling rushed. And so, yeah,
Right.
I have that extra cushion.
And there is a little bit of an explanatory process at the beginning. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you can do. This is where we are. So yeah, you've got to give time for that. Do you think
Can
that
I?
there are, go ahead.
So one other thing that I notice is that we, so this is kind of goes off of internal family systems about all our different parts, and we all have a protector. And I'm pointing to my chest because that protector typically resides in your chest. And so you might have even remembered me asking, like, is anything happening in your chest? Do you feel heaviness?
Yes.
Do you feel tension? Because
Yes.
when that shows up, your protector has now showed up, and it's like, ooh, we're doing something really scary and uncomfortable, and I'm not okay with that. Like, I need to protect you again. And
Right.
so a lot of times that first session, it's like having a conversation with that protector and reassuring it that, like, hey, we're okay. You can just have a seat on the couch next to her or whatever you want to do. I have toys that they can play with or something, and just asking that protector to step aside. So more than not, that typically is the thing that makes the first session a little bit longer, is that protector
Right.
comes out.
And there was very much from the very beginning and throughout an acknowledgement of, are you comfortable? Do you feel safe? And also here, look around. This is why you can know you're safe. You chose to be here. We're in a safe space, things like
Yeah.
that. That reminder of it's okay to be vulnerable here because you're not actually physically or even mentally in any danger. Your
No.
vulnerability is not a weakness in this room.
Right. But your protector doesn't know that. And so, like, I
Right.
give a lot of reassurance that, like, hey, I'm going to keep you all safe. Like, you're safe in this room. Yeah.
Have you ever had anyone come in and in the middle of it have to stop you? I never had a
Yeah.
sensation that there was any, and I'm outspoken. Like if I, no means no, and if I need to say no, I will say it. I never felt like at any point you were taking me away from my goal or towards a goal that wasn't mine. Like I
Yes.
felt like it was very me centric, and that definitely that I could stop everything at any time, but that there wasn't like, we're not falling off a cliff here. Have you ever had anybody though where they hit something that is overwhelming and they're like, stop?
Yes. Yep.
Is
Like,
there
after
is there a risk to stopping in the middle of all of this?
I would have thought so. So this was right after I got trained in 2022, and a client was processed something that was very traumatizing, and she got very dysregulated, and she didn't want to continue anymore. And so again, I'm not going to force her to do something that she doesn't want to
Right.
do. Regardless of what kind of therapy I'm doing, I'm not going to do that. And so we stopped, and I'm like, oh my God, I broke her. But then she came back and she's like, oh, I feel 30% better. I'm not crying in the shower. I feel okay. Like, I feel better.
Right.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's not like hypnosis. Again, as a person that's been hypnotized, you can take yourself. I want everybody to hear and understand this from my perspective as a layperson, that if you were to utilize hypnosis, I still always felt in control of myself and do when I use, obviously, when I use self hypnosis, you can take yourself out of anything. Your mind is so powerful. And your mind, once you open your mind to the idea of, I can not only protect myself, but empower myself, you can get yourself out of that block. You're not at risk of just being left in a hypnotic state, floating on the breeze or anything like that. But also, if you are in the, I definitely would feel like if I was in the middle of processing my feelings about my physical pain and I just stopped, whether I acknowledged it or not, I feel like I would, that's my body and brain's way of saying, pick that back up. Let's go. Is that
Yeah.
accurate to how you
Yeah.
have watched people experience this?
Absolutely. And like, so when we ended the session, I'm like, since your brain knew what we were doing, it might show you more images or more memories, or maybe even new sensations might come up. And that's your brain's way of saying, like, hey, there's more that we need to process.
Right.
Because, like, it's kind of like an onion. We're going to peel back some layers, and then it makes room to process more things.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody starts Accelerated Resolution Therapy. And I understand why it's called accelerated, because you go through a lot quick, but it also felt very, it wasn't like rip open the Band-Aids, scoop out your brains, toss them around. I mean, it was many steps in quick succession, but with a resolution in that hour.
Yeah.
Like we went the full circle.
Yes.
And how often do people, when they do this, like how close would somebody want to come for a repeat session? Do you recommend they take a few days to themselves? Could someone come every day and do this? Is it a 30 days before you try again?
Yeah. So I've done 2 sessions back to back, and I usually recommend that, like if we've had a lot of like distress in our life, because what I have found is that when we do ART, sometimes it feels like we're walking around with this extra 100-pound weight, right? And
Yes.
now we just removed all that weight. And so now your brain and your body are like, how do we function like this? We don't know what's happening. So
Right.
then like I have the person come back the next day, so then I can help like make all the changes integrate a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've also had people that they've had a personal goal, they've had one session and they're like, get it, got it, thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, everybody's different. Some people do one and they're done. Some people do like once a month. Some people, it really all just depends. Because like for ART to work, you have to be motivated to change, be able to hold a thought, and be able to move your eyes, and it's going to work. So it's kind of just depending on the client again.
What's an overlooked demographic? We talked about this yesterday, so I know you know what I'm hinting at, but what's an overlooked demographic that probably could benefit from something like this on a regular or like monthly session basis?
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the people who have been released from prison?
That's one of them. And also, had immediately thought of first responders, but
Oh, first responder. Oh, yeah, yeah, for
you
sure.
mentioned this because they're experiencing other people's trauma.
Right, right. And even though they might think like, yep, it's just another work day, like that is a lot of distress for your brain and your body to take on, and it needs to get processed out. And so a lot of times, like that's when it will start showing up in your body, and you'll start getting headaches more, stomach aches, you'll struggle with sleep,
Yes.
things like that.
Yes. And my question from yesterday was probably, I hope it was one of the most random questions you've ever been asked. We talked about people that are in the prison system, whether or not while they're still incarcerated or if they're preparing to reenter into community, if their crime was something like obviously in South Dakota, we see a lot of people that are incarcerated for addiction and drug related offenses. And some event in their life put them on that path. And now they come out and they don't want to fall right back in that path. Is this something that should be an option for them? And then also your explanation of why somebody who's incarcerated, if their trauma is the being incarcerated, why is it not a path for them?
Yeah, because like we need to feel safe. And if we don't feel safe in that environment, like we're going to keep getting re-traumatized. Like I had explained yesterday, like, yeah, I could definitely do ART with somebody is like involved with domestic abuse. But if they are going back to that environment over and over and over, it's like re-entering the war zone. And so, yeah, you might get something out of it, but definitely not what you could experience. Even too, like I'm thinking now, like I've done ART with some ER doctors, and I've noticed that like, yes, it's effective, but if you go straight into work like the next day, that's going to be a lot for your nervous system. And yes, you will have like some relief, but it's not going to stick as well. And so that's why I encourage a lot of people like, hey, let's not go 250 miles per hour like we usually do because we live in America. Like, let's rest, slow down a little bit. If your body wants to go to bed at 8, let's go to bed at 8.
Yeah, listen to your body. We talked about how this is something people can incorporate in addition to more traditional talk therapy,
Yes.
where they
Very
do
much
talk
so.
about the trauma or they do talk through coping skills.
Yes.
Have you had people where they were not as successful in talk therapy because they're like, I know I feel anxious. I know I feel depressed. I don't know why. I don't know what to tell you to talk about. And then they do ART and they're like, bam,
Mm-hmm.
I have a definition of where this is coming from.
Okay. Yes, very much so. So everybody's kind of realizing that they might have a touch of autism, including myself. And like, again, we know all the things, but our brains are wired differently. And so CBT might not be as effective because, like, again, we know all the things and it's hard to rewire that for us. And so that's where ART comes in. Like, it helps them rewire everything so that they can get the relief, and like their brain will be a little bit more receptive to the other skills that they're learning.
And this is not the kind of thing that you would do ever in a group setting or like a family setting. I will, again, obviously someone was filming us because you don't get photo footage that good unless someone's holding the camera. Shout out to local celebrity Graham for coming in and shooting our silent footage there. And again, he's somebody I trust implicitly and that we both know personally. So having him in the room was not a concern at all. But this would never be like a group family event, right? You wouldn't line up everybody and be like, everybody, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and do it all together.
Oh, no. But like, I've had kids who like don't feel comfortable, like have mom come sit in and sit next to them while I do it, or like partners come in together and I do it on one of them.
They wouldn't both be active in the treatment at the same time.
No.
Because it's different for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how
that's skillful.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
I don't know how Graham felt when I had to reveal my Old Spice moment, but he also said your couch was super comfortable. You're probably very lucky that we didn't come back in with furniture dollies. We were both really pleased. We were pleased with the whole setting of your office. So that is a nice thing to know, though. When I think about the idea of that you don't have to talk about what your issue is. So everybody thinks they could share everything with their partner. That's not always true. Your partner doesn't always know your whole life. Maybe you want them there. They're your touchstone person, but you also don't want to say the things out loud because you're either not ready to or you don't want to. They don't have to in this, do they at all? They could have even just a good friend with them for a physical support without having to reveal any deep, dark secrets.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I did a presentation for Call to Freedom, and I worked with an individual who did not feel safe at all, which is totally valid. And so she would have her case manager come in with her, and that's how she got through the session. And like that was even like mind-blowing for me, just hearing everything that she's been through. And we did one ART session and her case manager was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I wish I could give you a hug, but I know you don't like hugs. And she's like, no, you can give me a hug.
Like, in this moment right now, I feel cleared. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
And that is something I have lived with pain in every part of my everyday for a quarter of a century. Like, which sounds so epic in the eras of Jenny. And we even talked about how some of my issues, like with binge eating, when we talked about go back to the beginning, I was looking back at my 20s when I didn't have a fully accurate diagnosis or understanding of my illness. And I was eating for energy that was never going to turn into energy. I was just going to turn into these girls. It was never going to turn into active energy. But I was like, well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Pound more caffeine or eat this or carb load or whatever. I'm just tired. I need fuel. But it's because I didn't understand my diagnosis. No matter how I tried to fuel my belly, it was never going to help brain inflammation. Brain inflammation is what was making me incapacitated. And so going all the way back to this time in my 20s, and this is what I was doing and revealing it. I mean, we did talk a little bit about that's where the images took me. But let's say it had taken me back to a traumatic event. All I would have had to say to you in that moment was, yes, I'm there, or I see
Yeah.
it. I wouldn't have had to draw a picture of it.
No.
And it did really open my eyes to the things that we don't correlate with what our body is experiencing. And because I hadn't really thought of it like that, was like, when I started, I've always been a hearty eater. I used to have a great metabolism. But when did I start thinking if I eat an entire sleeve of crackers, it's going to change something in my life?
Mm-hmm.
And it was when I didn't understand what was wrong. And that's kind of where it took me back to.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yeah.
the youngest person?
This is my Bible. Heal Your Body, Louise Hay. Yeah. So like anytime anybody tells me like something that they're experiencing, I look it up. Like for instance, everybody has headaches. That represents invalidating the self-criticism, fear. And so we talk about like, hey, when did you start criticizing yourself?
Yes. Is that living in your body? Is that living in your muscles?
Yeah.
And so I had a quarter century. I am a half century old, so I had a whole half century of items to review. But what's the youngest a person could benefit from this?
Any age. Yeah.
As long as
Again,
they can.
if they're motivated to change, any age. So it's just like less eye movements.
And with little kids that have had traumatic experiences, have you personally ever worked with children, or is there evidence that's out there of people working with children and helping them through things with this?
I have not. I've only worked with one child. I typically work with teenagers. And yes, there is a group, an ART group that does work specifically with kids.
Because I'm sure it's got to be tailored. The language has to be
absolutely
age-appropriate.
Yep. And there's even a child description of like what it is so that they can have more of an understanding. Because like with the new clients, I give a description of what ART is in the new intake paperwork. And for kids, there's a different description that's a little more child friendly.
Yes. You've got to use the right accurate verbs and nouns and terminology, but comprehensively age appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming all ages beyond that, anytime in your adulthood where you're ready to work on your personal needs.
Absolutely.
Have you ever had anybody, like yesterday, I almost fell asleep. Have you ever had anybody else actually fall asleep?
They never fell asleep, but they got really tired. A lot of times people are struggling with sleep. And so this definitely puts them into that relaxing phase. And so when I notice that their eyes are starting to close, then I'll be like, yep, follow my hand, keep following my hand. And then their eyes will open up a little bit more.
I had a dream state feeling. Again, I'm awake and I'm in control, but I'm in that relaxed dream state.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel tired I didn't feel like body tired, like that I had to go to sleep because I didn't need to. I felt like I'm so relaxed. If I took a nap right now, it would be great. And we did before, during, and at the end, we did review where are your pain levels at now? What are you feeling in your body? And my pain did decrease as we went through it. The relaxation. I live with my shoulders up to my ears. I was more relaxed. My spinal pain was improved, things like that. And that's where I tell people I didn't take any extra medication. or skip any of my medication for this. I treated my body the way I always do. I have a very solid regimen. And I do tell people this is why behavioral and body therapies are important, because anytime you can get relief without drugs is one less dose you had to acquire. You had to tolerate the side effects of, you have more time between doses, things like that. I'm definitely pro medication. I personally have never used, everybody always asks if I'm pro weed. I say legalize it. We need a good cash crop. There's there's plenty of comprehensive medical and scientific evidence pro the use of THC or CBD if done well and clean and whatnot, and made with standards. There's definitely use to that. I know for me, weed, THC, CBD, none of that has ever been a thing. It's just not what I need or what I've had to do for my pain. So, but as I've worked on my pain management, finding things that can get you between doses or have a better quality of life all the way around.
Right.
Do you think that people utilize this specifically to improve their quality of life, or is that just a positive side effect?
Mixture of both. Yeah. I like working with people who have medical issues that like Western doctors aren't able to figure out. And I'm like, yeah, I really feel like there's something going on, like deeper than that. And let's see if we can clear that. And so again, like, yeah, we can work with anything, chronic pain. We can work with a past trauma, and it doesn't have to be like something huge that you went to war or were raped. Like, I know a lot of times when I talk to my clients, is like they were alone in that moment, that was traumatic for them. And then, like I said, we can even go through a typical day. I can even go with a future event. So like talking about the people who have been released, like let's go through like a future typical day now that you are in the society again.
Yes, because they will have a whole brand new fresh set of things to deal with, because if they've been institutionalized, going back and not having someone tell you what time it is for breakfast and the door has rattled open and now you can shower, and now you, like, people forget that institutionalization at any level takes away not only your autonomy and ability to create your own schedule, but sometimes your know-how of how to do time for something, be hygienically prepared to be out in public. Because if you had to be somewhere while you were incarcerated, a door opened and told you to be there.
Right.
You didn't have to prepare yourself. The building did it. The people working in the building did it. And that's why some people re-offend, so they can go back to where
they don't know any different. Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't have to remember to pay the light bill. I didn't have to remember to figure out how to get money to pay the light bill in a legitimate way. There is an abstract, bizarro world version of security.
Yeah, I don't think that we acknowledge how challenging it is for people who have been in prison or even have gone to war and they come back and try to integrate back into our society. Like, so many things have changed.
Right. And without your commanding officer to tell you, now is time to get up, now is time to go out, we are all going together. There's definitely an aspect in our world today, especially with the political volatility, still post-pandemic. You might be going to work every day and wondering if your coworker next to you is really a team, because do we feel the same about vaccinations? Do we feel the same about religion? Do we feel the same about politics? And not just because we're afraid to accept other people that have different feelings, but right now I think we're worried. There are some people that have different feelings that we feel compromises our physical personal safety. It's not just whether or not we all like Taco John's, because of course we do all like Taco John's. But it's not just like, do we share a preference? It's, do we share a safety program?
Right.
Do you have people post-pandemic that literally are just like, I just need to work out that my choices, I don't know how to put it. A lot of times we think of trauma as getting rid of the thing that's not okay for us. Do you ever have people that they're there because they're like, yeah, I got to work with it. Some of my things, they're just my things. Like, it's okay that I don't want to shake hands anymore because I'm forever going to live in a world of COVID. That's just, it's
Right.
endemic part of our life. Elbow bumps forever, baby.
Right.
And then I have to deal with that. It's okay if not everybody is still in pandemic mode and that I have to work on my own. Do you have people that come and want to, that say, I'm the problem, it's me? And how do I live in this world?
Oh, absolutely.
I can give you Sarah's email address if you need it, Taylor Swift.
And sometimes I even do say, like, just notice that you have a thought that the problem is you, and just notice it's Taylor Swift, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Have
But
you,
yeah, that's where I kind of bring in those future selves, like I talked about yesterday, or even a guardian angels, or we can have superheroes. I try to throw Care Bears in, but nobody takes that. And they come and give you that reassurance, like, hey, you're okay. You're okay.
right.
We're watching over you. We're guiding you. You're not alone.
And for me, when we talked about, I immediately thought of Mr. Rogers because I'm a huge fan of the advice he gave so many years ago that we still have to give today, is to look for the helpers. When you're scared, look for the helpers. And so when you said, try and find that image or that thing or that person that is your helper, immediately I thought of Mr. Rogers. And I thought, oh, now my brain's going to program me to think about Mr. Rogers. But what came next was my grandma. She was always my whole life my helper. We were super
Mm-hmm.
close. I was with her when she died. The loss of her caused epic grief in me that I would say I still have not healed from, and it's been 10 years. She's in my world, in my life, in my vision every single day, but she's who came to me and just was like there in it. So now whenever if I go to bite my nails or eat a whole sleeve of crackers, I'm probably going to hear Maxine going, Jen, what are you doing?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
as
that's
we're
another thing that I love doing is grief, because yes, it's very devastating to lose a loved one, and a lot of times people feel alone in those moments, and
Mhm.
so I have them go back and give them that support and validation that they were needing. And then there's a step with the ART script where you go to a bridge, and I have that person walk over the bridge with their loved one that has passed away in a different form. Like, yes, they're not in the human form anymore, but maybe they're like a robin or a butterfly or a dragonfly or whatever it
Right,
is. Like, they're still
right.
with you.
Grandma Max's owls. I've lived out in the country here for many years, and we never had owls close by. And the week after my grandma died, we had an owl outside my bedroom
Mm,
window, hooting its Looney Tune brains out. I
aw.
still think back and I'm like, Grandma, if that's you, shut up. I'm trying to sleep. And then that owl has circled back at different times, and it's I've seen it. It's an actual real bird. It's not my
Yeah,
brain making this sound.
yeah.
But I always associated owls with her, and that one appeared in that moment. I've always thought, well, now she controls the wildlife. Not surprised. um, and so after the fact, I'm not surprised that she is the imagery that my brain thought, if I need protection for something, I'm going to put her there.
Mm-hmm.
As we're getting closer, we're coming to an hour. I could ask questions about this all day, but if people are looking for this kind of help or other kind of health, mental health things, how can they find you? Obviously, everybody, I have her, you see on the ticker the name of her guiding light counseling, and the long web link. The web link itself is in the description, but if somebody wanted to put in a quick Google phrase to come directly to you, how would they do it?
Guiding Light Counseling, Sioux Falls.
Okay. And you're on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook. But even, oh, my dog's shaking. You can go to the website, Accelerated Resolution Therapy, and just look for a therapist in your area.
Yes.
Psychology Today is a great resource as well.
Yes, because if you're watching this from anywhere else in the world, everyone, everywhere, your mental health is valid and important. Are you a person that believes in or recommends people do affirmations? Like a daily affirmation?
Well, I mean, it would be nice, but a lot of people aren't there. So I'm just like, hey, can you just even just acknowledge that, like, I am safe in this moment? Like, can you just do that? Like, you don't have to say that you're the best thing ever or like everything is going to be okay. Your brain's not going to believe that. So can you just at least say a grounding, something to help bring you back?
I look at when people talk about thoughts and prayers. The idea of thoughts and prayers is real. I believe in it. It is something that's appropriate to say. Sometimes you are. All I can do for a person is think about them and say a good word. It is trite when people use it in an inappropriate situation. Thoughts and prayers do nothing for school shootings. Thoughts and actions do. Get out and pray with the people that are in trouble. Pray with the kids before they get to acting out in violence. In those ways, I believe in thoughts and prayers. Your prayers have to be actions. But I definitely connect with that. You just put it so well in that not all of us are there. We're not all ready for a prayer or an affirmation to be enough.
Mm-hmm.
And every day something else happens that makes my
Right?
prayers makes them a little more sassy.
Yeah.
my prayers, sometimes there's language in them. So, well, Sarah, I appreciate you giving me the time with this today. And I encourage everybody in the comments of this, ask questions. We'll make sure Sarah sees them. Find her on social media, find her on Facebook, find her website. And yeah, the Accelerated Resolution Therapy, it's definitely something you can Google and learn more about, but it's always better to just find a real face, a real person, and say, tell me what this is all about.
Right.
And I appreciate
One last thing. I didn't name my therapy practice after the soap opera, Guiding Light. I didn't even remember about that. It's Guiding Light because I like to think of like my light guiding you back to your light.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's definitely a generational thing. I don't know that any of the young people would think of the guiding light.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to change my phone screen to, I was always a Days of Our Lives child. I came from a Days of Our Lives family, I guess. I'm like sands through the hourglass. So are the Days of Our Lives.
Right.
All of the women raising us in the 1980s, they were having their affirmations. They just didn't know it. Oh God, take me away. Well, thank you, Sarah. I'm going to take you off the screen for just a minute while I wrap up, and then I'll come back and chat with you just one-on-one a little more.
Sounds good.
Everybody wave goodbye to Sarah while you remember Guiding Light.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and sticking it out while I asked all my crazy questions and got my personal therapy on in front of all of you. Mental health is health. Mental wellness, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness is equally as important as going and getting your physical. We get our cholesterol checked. We don't even question that we're going to do that. We do all of those physical things, do that mental health check as well. Do remember, if you're ever in crisis, if you are in immediate harm or danger, or you feel like someone in your life is, call 911. That's not a time to be afraid of law enforcement. That's a time to get help, and make sure that if you're making a call like that, if there is a mental or physical aspect or element, if you're the one making the 911 call, make that clear. I need somebody because of my mental health, or I feel like I'm going to physically harm myself. Please send medical in addition to just law enforcement. I love that our national suicide hotline is now so easy to remember, 988. You can call or text that. Go on the helpline website and look at that. And a lot of people are sometimes afraid to reach out to crisis lines like that because they think that is going to send the cops to their house, or they think they're going to end up on a list. That's not how that works. Look into 988. Look into, they are there to be there in your crisis and help you work through it. And if it needs to go further than that, they help you with that. There's so many great hotlines. I will definitely post them on my website and on my social media that drill down and specialize in what kind of issues or concerns you might have. For example, something that I feel like is not promoted or well known enough, there are rural health mental hotlines, mental health helplines in South Dakota that focus specifically on rural health care, mental health assistance, assistance with copay on those medications. Because if you ate today, thank a farmer, and remember tonight that farmer might be struggling. So be a part of that bigger universe. And you never know when having a hotline on your refrigerator or on your Facebook is going to make it visible to someone else in your life that hasn't told you that they're in trouble. If you have someone in your life that is like, I'm not a talker, I don't know how to do this, I don't want to tell somebody my problems, but you know they need work, Accelerated Resolution Therapy, I think, could actually be a great starting off point. Because again, I never would have had to say, what am I here to deal with? I didn't even have to know. That was the first question I asked. What if I don't know what I'm here to deal with? I didn't even have to know. So I definitely encourage you all to look into it more. Reach out to Sarah, Guiding Light Counseling. And everybody, be safe, be happy, be healthy, be very careful in this cold weather, and just love each other. So have a great weekend, everybody. Bye. One second.